All right, guys, welcome back to RoxomTV and also welcome back to GemGem Crypto. Whichever platform you're watching on, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day because I do. And today I do have a special guest joining my shows. He is none other than Fernando. So the Bitcoin podcast host is finally joining us today. So Fernando, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm so happy to be here. Congratulations to Roxom team for having set up this amazing office. I've been here with Elena and Olivia when they were seeing the office, and now see this setup. See you here, Jerry. To be honest, it's a really nice place, and super happy to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you. And I'm really excited for my show today because, point being, we have known each other for some time and we have been doing this type of live streams for months and on your channel, so on your Bitcoin Libertarian Twitter channel. So I'm really excited for today's show. And more importantly, because I know you and we have a very different approach and very different takes for where the market is going right now. And Bitcoin, as I'm looking at the chart, is sitting at 92K. And myself, I have been calling for a bear market early because I remember I told you about the 4-year cycle being so intact. And my friend was sharing this info that he basically sold most of his bags on exactly actually before 6th of October 2025, and looks like it's the cycle top. So I really want to pick your brain. And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna start with a little bit of TA to show you what I see from a technical and TA perspective. And after that, I'm going to get your perspectives and get your takes. How does that sound?
Okay, excellent.
Okay, so without further ado, let's actually hop on to the daily chart of Bitcoin first. So on the daily, so we're slowly starting from daily and then to the weekly, from short time frame to a higher time frame. So one thing on the daily that I've been stressing for a very long time is this downtrend line that I drew basically since 126K. So whenever Bitcoin touched this, we just get rejected again and again and again. And looks like I have been calling for a relief rally. And for the past few days, people on Twitter, we were really excited. Like, okay, this cycle, it is different, that institutions are in, smart money is finally here. Bitcoin is not going to get the volatility. Well, but I hate to break it to you, like from all-time high, so 126K down to 80K, that was like a 36% correction already in less than 2 months. And what I'm seeing from a daily, so short time frame perspective, is that we haven't even get close to the trend line. So to the downward slope that we've been forming since 6th of October. So point being, like looking at a daily, so shorter time frame perspective, do you think this 4-year cycle is still intact, or basically it's no longer relevant? Institutions are here, like 36% is the maximum we are seeing already.
Well, I don't want to talk about numbers if we reach the maximum or not, because nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows which candle, which is going to be the next candle. But of course, the main narrative among all the technical analysis people, all the crypto bros, all the traders. In fact, I just came from La Bitconf in Buenos Aires, and all the traders there were telling that we are going to go down up to 60K, 50K, or even less. Um, I like to follow people that is smarter than me. So, and this year I discovered the power law. That is the something that is being studied and says that Bitcoin follows a certain pattern that is a power law. And the funny thing of that is that they analyze Bitcoin as a living creature. Sorry, I'm so maximalistic, so that's what I say that. But talking about the 4-year cycle, one of the guys that I follow, that is Matthew from Porcopolis podcast, he always say that we need to wait a couple more months to see if the 4-year cycle is still in, but he thinks, based on the evidence that we see, that it might be broken. But we need to still wait. And I think the same. A couple of things about that is because this cycle, or I don't like to call cycle, but this cycle or this probable bull run, we saw an all-time high just before the halving last year, something that never had happened before. Second, we have new big players like the treasury companies, we have the ETFs, we have a lot of countries now trying to study what is going to happen. They want to add Bitcoin as a balance sheet. Most of the banks are now seeing Bitcoin as an asset, not as a gamble or a shitcoin. So I think that for this reason, the 4-year cycle might be over. On the other side, I would like to think that I like to think that this year, and this is something that we discussed with the other libertarian Diego, is that this year was supposed to go super up Bitcoin, and as we see, of course, we reached the all-time high at 126, but probably we are going to close even in red or almost break even. Nobody knows what is going to happen with Bitcoin, but if the trend continue, it's going to close break even or even in red. So it will invalidate the 4-year cycle. So what is happening now? Again, I never follow the technical analysis because it's probably biased from where you pick up the point. We throw the lines. I like to see the power law, and following the power law, we see that the price that we are checking now, the price that we are in is a price that it's probable we could have this price. Probably a lot of people was thinking that at this time we were going to be 250, 300K or even higher. In fact, I was thinking about that at the beginning of the year, but I think that it's totally normal what we are seeing. This year we saw a fall of around 30% in April, and then Bitcoin went up. So that's what I think that, first of all, 4-year cycles are over. We are entering in a totally new behavior of Bitcoin, or probably it's not a new behavior. It's the behavior, when you see the power law, is the behavior that Bitcoin had from the beginning. And if you see from the beginning, we are in a perpetual bull run with corrections, of course, but that is the way that I like to think when you see the trend, the power law. I'm not a big fan of technical analysis, but sometimes people who do TA is right. So let's see what happens. Nobody knows the future. I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. No matter what price can go tomorrow. Tomorrow can go to 50K. That is improbable, but I will still be bullish. So that's the thing.
Yeah, one thing I like to remind the viewers is that, okay, for myself, I separate into two different bags. So the first one is investment. So that probably more aligned with Fernando because you have a long-term perspective. You don't care about Bitcoins where they are heading to in the next week or the next year because long-term wise, in 5 years, you know your money is going to worth more in Bitcoin. So that's why you continue to DCA into Bitcoin and you are such a strong believer. So I usually, for myself, I separate into a hodling bag. So what I do is that I'll just like aid into Bitcoin. I just don't care. But the second bag I have is trading. So what it helps me so much is actually like looking at TA like this. So we were touching upon on the daily. Let's actually hop onto the weekly and see where we're going to. Because like one thing TA managed to save me is that according to 4-year cycle and according to just like some trend line, some indicators, like I managed to de-risk a little bit, and especially when it comes to altcoins. So one thing for the weekly, so let's hop on to the Ichimoku cloud. This is one of my favorite indicators of all time. How do you read this? Is basically, if we zoom out, there's a cloud forming. So if Bitcoin's price is actually above the cloud, that means we are in a bullish momentum. Vice versa, if we are below the cloud, so like right here, back in 2022, that is a bear market, like simple as that. That's why. And another thing I love the Ichimoku cloud so much is because it's a leading indicator. So if we apply the same thing, because in the bear market, what happened in 2022 is that we don't immediately crash down to 15K. That didn't happen. But we actually, the Ichimoku cloud warned us that, okay, Bitcoin might be in more a bearish momentum before we actually touch the bottom, cycle bottom of 15K and trade below the Ichimoku cloud. So I'm seeing a very similar pattern. And according to the 4-year cycle, we know we have a magical number that it's just like I am really amazed by how math works sometimes because it saved me a lot of hassle. So for the 4-year cycle, if we measure from the cycle bottom, so cycle bottom, and I'm just like picking any random cycle here, and again, like data don't lie. And if I'm just taking any random number, so for the cycle, for example, 2018, if we take this cycle bottom to the cycle top, we get this magical number of 1064 days. And it happens every single time. That's how we got the magical date of 6th of October. So this is what I'm eyeing. And if we hop back to the weekly chart that we are seeing here, first of all, we already have the sign from the Ichimoku cloud right here. We are right now sitting inside this cloud. Like, I won't be surprised, like if you ask my personal take, I won't be surprised if in December, like this month, in the coming weeks, we just like spend some time trading sideways. Because like if we hop onto the Bitcoin monthly return, October and November, it has been awfully disappointing. I remember I was doing live stream with you and everyone was like, it's October and November, but like turns out like Bitcoin just want to do its thing and completely apply the 4-year cycle. So I'm thinking if the 2 consecutive months it was like so bad, maybe December, according to Ichimoku Cloud, will be trading inside like consolidate a little bit. Like I wonder what is your view in December or maybe year end for Bitcoin?
To be honest, like I hope, to be honest, to Bitcoin close in around 90K. But it's my hope, not my vision. Because if it happens, we break the 4-year cycle theory. Again, I'm not a guy who the technical analysis, another thing that I see is more for the people who trade, the people who want to see, okay, I want to buy high, to buy low, sell high, and make money in the process. Um, as I am a maximalist, I see Bitcoin in a different way. So I will quote Michael Saylor. It's going up forever, Jemmy. It's going up forever, Jemmy. So if you of course try to study the short term and what is going to happen probably next month, in a couple of months or the middle of next year, it's okay because again, December can go low or can go high. Nobody knows. Most of the people say that we probably will close next to 100K. Nobody knows because USA now stopped the QT. They put a lot of money inside the market, so probably they will reduce a little bit more the rates. So they cut the rates. So probably we will close the month around 100K. But at the end of the day, what we need to think, and what all the people need to think, is that Bitcoin is a superior asset. And we need to see Bitcoin in a long term. We need to see the power of Bitcoin. We need to see Bitcoin as our retirement. And when you save for your retirement, you don't care the price. For example, in Argentina, we save in US dollars, or we used to save in US dollars. Why? Because Argentinian peso was always crap. So for us, we get our salary and we go and buy dollars. In the short term, dollar can go up, can go down, whatever. But in the long term, you know that dollar is going to go up. So I think that is the vision that I have for Bitcoin. I think one of the things, my theory, that again, when I want to see what can happen in the short term, is that probably the bear market was 2026, even though we reached the all-time high, 2025, sorry, even though we reached an all-time high, because what happened this year was super crazy. Everyone was expected much more because all of the hype at the beginning of the year, and now we were in the fear and greed is in extreme fear. The people is like disappointed with Bitcoin. Probably this year was the bear market, and we can see a growth of Bitcoin in the next month. Something that happened this year, if we see the history, Bitcoin went down from around 110 to 75K in April, and then it went up and reached another all-time high. So probably we can see Bitcoin over 100K. I made a poll in my YouTube channel, and most of the people say that it's going to end the year around 90 and 100K. The funny thing is that most people think that it's gonna the biggest amount of people think that we are gonna finish around 90 or 100K, but the second is people that think that we're gonna go over 110. So that's the funny thing. So again, nobody knows what can happen. I'm bullish on the long term, no matter what happened in the short term. Probably, I think that is December. We can see Bitcoin a little bit higher, probably close to 100K, but no more. Or probably we can see a little bit lower. But if I have to bet, I will bet that will be a little bit higher, but we end the year between 90 and 100K. No financial advice for sure.
We never offer financial advice, but it's great to have you because, like, during my show, I always use the trader mentality, but like having you around is like balance the view of a little bit more so from a trader perspective, more to a long-term investor perspective. But you know who else is so bullish on Bitcoin? Like we have to get into the whole Binance blockchain week in Dubai. Like Fernando, did you know about this event? Basically is happening right now.
No, I saw the video between CZ and Peter Schiff, and I didn't know that was the Binance week. I was aware of the Bitcoin conference in Abu Dhabi, but not this event. And it was funny to see the conversation between CZ and Peter Schiff and what happened.
Yeah, so like I was surprised because apparently a lot of crypto influencers flew over to attend this event. But like you said, there was a key highlight moment that we have to talk about is because like CC and Peter Schiff, and if you guys didn't know, Peter Schiff is basically the biggest shield of gold. He loved his gold bar, he loved his gold coins. And CC has been kind of like trolling Peter Schiff for years because like if you take a look at this tweet that was back in 2023, so CC was like seeing Peter Schiff convert makes me happy. And what happened last month was that Peter Schiff was like, okay, making a congratulations note to CC on that pardon, and let's have a debate for Bitcoin versus tokenized gold. And this was back in October, and CC, of course, was like, okay, let's do this. And this is what happened yesterday. So this is a moment, it went viral on Twitter. So this video is just like it's very short, but like the whole debate on stage, it lasted like an hour. So CC took out a gold bar and he presented to Peter Schiff. He was like, "Oh, is this gold bar actual the real stuff, or how could you tell me this is real or not?" And Peter Schiff replied, he doesn't know. Like he needs some authority, basically someone to check whether the legitimacy of that gold being real or not. So this really does circle back to the whole idea of gold versus BTC, because like BTC does offer a lot more pros compared to gold. So my question to you, Fernando, what's your take on gold? Do you own any gold, and will you own any gold?
No, no. My grandfather was a big. I remember he used to save in gold. Well, I have gold in Argentina, but like when you are born, they give you some like medals of gold or some like I have the rings of my grandfather when they were married or something like that, but never invested in gold. The take of Peter Schiff was amazing because I saw when he couldn't that shows the superiority of Bitcoin. I'm not a hater of gold because it's the way that people used to save the keep the value of things through all the humanity story for over 5,000 years. But now there is a superior asset. For gold, you need security. You need. I think that you saw the meme transferring one billion in gold. That is a lot of big trucks with the policeman controlling it. Transfer 1 million in Bitcoin is just a transfer. So that shows that Bitcoin is a superior asset than gold that comes to I don't know if replace gold, but to be the top predator on the scale of value of like keeping your value of your money, of your wealth. So not even Peter Schiff, that is one of the biggest advocates of gold, can verify if the goal is true, if the goal was legit. So with Bitcoin, we do this every moment, every 10 minutes. It's audited. And this lead me to what happened at the beginning of the year when they wanted to audit Fort Knox in the United States. Nobody knows if the goal is there. It's just all based on truth. And one of the things that Peter Schiff does that attacks Bitcoin because he says Bitcoin is not backed by anything. Wrong. Gold is not backed by anything. Gold is just a way that we choose historically because of their properties, of gold's property, to keep value. But it's not backed. It's not that there is a law or a government saying that this has value. Bitcoin is backed by energy, it's backed by mathematics, it's backed by millions of computers around the world, it's backed by code, it's backed by Bitcoiners. So that's what it makes a better asset. And again, if I send you Bitcoin to you now, I don't have Bitcoin because I lost my keys in a boat accident. But anyways, if I send Bitcoin to you now, you're gonna know that they are real Bitcoin because they are verified by all the Bitcoin network. If I give you gold now, you need to go and check if this is true Bitcoin. The same happened with fiat. My dad was a bank teller in the bank in Argentina, and he has a great ability to verify if the bills were fake or not. But even though sometimes from time to time, there was some bills that he couldn't verify. So that's another thing that shows that Bitcoin is a better asset than gold because what happened with CZ and Peter Schiff. And if you want, I'm not a big fan of of CZ, but if you want to see an amazing debate that happened 10 years ago, go in YouTube and search Peter Schiff versus Max Kaiser debate. Amazing. It's amazing. 40 minutes, you will say me thank you.
Yeah, one thing I agree with CC a lot, and basically all the Bitcoin investor around the world, is that like we still don't know exactly how much gold there is in on our planet Earth. Like it seems to be every single year, if you dig a little deeper, and somehow there's like more gold. So at the end of the day, is that really scarce? Like for Bitcoin, we know everything is on the blockchain, so everything is just like coding. So we know, like I'm a strong believer when it comes to math and when it comes to data. So when everything is transparent and when everything is just a line, some few lines of code, and there will only be a maximum of 21 million Bitcoins exist in this world, like that is what I value. So I will say the deeper issue that these two folks are arguing over the stage Is that more like physical scarcity, so-called physical scarcity, and a real digital scarcity, I would say. Like, I know the argument from Peter Schiff is that, okay, there will be tokenized gold, and that's why there was like some shilling he was doing on Twitter. But at the end of the day, like tokenized gold, it might solve the issue of like if you want to send a fraction of that gold, it might solve that issue. But like when it comes to the actual scarcity, when it comes to storing that gold, we know Bitcoin is still the ultimate winner. Would you say,
Yes,
Fernando?
because if you do tokenized gold, first of all, you need to pay someone to verify that the gold is real. That's the first point. With Bitcoin, you don't need to pay anyone. And what you said with the scarcity, of course, we don't know how much gold we have on the earth. In fact, there was a very funny meme. I think that there was some news that there is an asteroid that has I don't know how many kilos of gold that if we mine it, every person on the earth is going to be billionaire. And people say, oh, we need to go and mine. Yes, but you're going to be billionaire, but probably a glass of wine will cost millions. So, and you know that the first inflation in Europe happened when during the colonization of America, the Spanish people, the Spanish went to America and brought a lot of gold from America to Europe. And this abundance of gold, because we could add more gold to the circulation, generate inflation. So gold is not real scarce. The only scarce asset we have on Earth and in the whole universe is Bitcoin. And again, we don't need to verify, we don't need to tokenize to do these things to transfer value. We already have Bitcoin. So again, I'm not against the gold because I'm not even against Peter Schiff because he's a libertarian. He is like me against the governments. He pitches the gold as a store of value, as is not regulated for the governments. But I think that he's an old guy, and he needs to understand that we have a better asset than gold. That you don't need to verify, you don't need to send people. You just you just can have in your pocket, in your wallet, and nobody needs to verify if you have or not. It's only the blockchain.
Yes, I like that a lot. So, what we touch upon is the one of the feature of Bitcoin being remittance, so being payment. But you know what? Like, who else is getting the Bitcoin? It's like banks around the world. And one thing about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin does not discriminate, like whatever political stance you have or whatever belief that you have. Like everyone is free to use Bitcoin. So we're gonna dive into the next segment. Like we're gonna cover who are these banks around the world using Bitcoin or stablecoins, so crypto for remittance. But before we dive in, let's take a little break and I'll see you guys in about 3 minutes.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. Before we hit on that little break, we talk about Bitcoin being a great remittance, so basically a great way for payment. So we're going to look into that. The first news I'm breaking to you guys is like Russia. So Russia's second largest bank, VTB Bank, is now preparing to let customers buy and trade Bitcoin directly inside the brokerage account starting in 2026. And this is actually a huge shift because VTB isn't a small fintech, it's around $400 billion banking giant with like over 1,000 branches. Right now, they only let super rich clients trade crypto derivatives, but because regular customers keep asking for real Bitcoin, real crypto, VTP is pushing for full Bitcoin and crypto trading once they get the green light from Russia's central bank. So the message here is pretty clear. Crypto or Bitcoin isn't a side bet anymore. It's becoming part of Russia's mainstream financial system. They even recommend people allocate like a 7% or like somewhere around that of their portfolio to Bitcoin. And this is a massive signal coming from a state-aligned institution. So question to you, Fernando. Why do you think Russia loves crypto or Bitcoin so much? And why do you think VTB, like banks, they are doing this?
Well, not only Russian banks. If you see United States, also the banks are suggesting their clients to invest, to allocate 1 to 5% in crypto actives or Bitcoin. That's something that is happening. And I think that Russia, first of all, I think that after China banned the miners, big amount of miners went to Russia and United States because Russia has, I don't know the cost of electricity, but they have in the north of Russia, they have zones with very cold that they can use this natural cold weather to cold their equipment. And after the Ukraine war, as Russia was kicked out of the SWIFT network, they should do something to overcome this. They should do remittance, and they were working with gas, and they were receiving. I think that they were receiving payments in Bitcoin. I don't know if as banking level, but most of the people in Russia they were sending remittance in Bitcoin on crypto. There is a huge community there in Russia, especially now if you go to Dubai, you're going to see a lot of Russians that are there doing business with crypto. And I think that this is a natural reaction to what happened in Russia for after they were banned from the SWIFT. And they need to use, of course, they did some stuff with Chinese yuan, but most of the remittance were made by people on Bitcoin. In fact, I have the case of a guy that set up a business, a tourist business in South Africa, and he was managing a lot of Russian clients. And when the war started, he couldn't receive the money from the Russians, so they start receiving Bitcoin, and that's why the way he got orange pill. But long story short, I think that is a reaction from the ban of the SWIFT system. And of course, most of the banks they do business. They like money, and they know that if they don't adapt to Bitcoin, they will die. So that's why they combat Bitcoin, but they start seeing that it's inevitable. If you cannot fight Bitcoin.
Yes, I agree with you. Like there's a strong incentive for Russia to adopt Bitcoin because, like, of course, we know the sanction it has been played since 2022. So, like, however, what we are watching at the Russian economy. So, if we go ahead and hop to the GDP growth rate for Russia, it's actually holding pretty well. So, like 2022, it was like the war break, but like it has been pretty steady. Like despite being sanctioned, like well, the where's the money coming from? That's the question I'm asking next. So Russia simply redirected China, like basically China now takes half of Russia's import. India at the same time, they have been scooping out those discounted Russian oil every single day. Middle East, like some of the Eastern countries have been helping Russia move goods or money through some shadow feeds. So that's what's happening. However, if we also look at the inflation rate for Russia, it's sitting at like quite ridiculously high. So in October it's 7.7%, September is 8%. So like we are seeing a basically quite out of control. So like inflation, the unofficial number is around 15 to 20%. Of course, it's not showing the entire true story right now, but like based on the research that we could get our hands on from the Western world, is that okay, inflation is ridiculously high. There's a labor shortage right now going on in Russia. And Russia, the third problem that they have is like they kind of like overly dependent on China because like China is almost the one of the few partners they have and basically keep their whole economy afloat. So like I kind of want to go back to this news, so back to Bitcoin. Why VTBs that move matters so much for the future. So the bottom line that we have to understand is that VTB's Bitcoin trading launch isn't about embracing innovation. Is Russia making crypto part of the state toolkit for like sanctions, evasion, or storing value or cross-border trade? Because like one thing about Bitcoin is that they never discriminate. Like any background, anyone, any person on earth, we are allowed to buy Bitcoin. But like this also circled back to some of the criticism, like people, especially back in the days, like to call Bitcoin as criminal money. So I want to get your take, Fernando. So Bitcoin being so non-discriminating, is it a good thing or bad thing?
It's a good thing. Bitcoin is for everyone. Nobody, and that's a big discussion that I have with other maxis. That, for example, they are even more maxi than me. That they hate BlackRock, they hate Michael Saylor. For me, it's not like nobody. You cannot ban you cannot ban anyone to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, I think that is a good move. And talking about the inflation, these are numbers, monthly numbers or year numbers. The 7% of inflation.
7% inflation is like month to month.
Month to month, so it's super crazy. It's bigger than in Argentina.
No, I
Mm,
think it's like
the year.
yeah,
Ah,
sorry.
okay, okay. That's because
Not
when
month
when
to
you
month, sorry.
when you saw like 7%, 8%, I say, oh, inflation is crazier than in Argentina. So I think that Bitcoin is for everyone, and now the banks are noticing that if they don't allow their clients to use Bitcoin, especially the high wealth clients, that they want to protect their assets by diversification. Because of course, the people that the high net worth people, they don't. They just want to diversify and keep they don't want to lose the value and a little bit of Bitcoin. I think if they don't accept, somebody is will let them do that. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I mean, I like that as well because, like, Bitcoin, again, they don't have political stance, they don't have a viewpoint, they don't have their own perspectives. Everyone is welcome to use Bitcoin. But you know, the second country I want to touch upon, and I'm sure it has a close tie to you, Fernando, because, like, for the viewers don't know, Fernando has actually come from Argentina, and Argentina has been doing amazing things for Bitcoin. So what happened right now? We are watching at this news. So Argentina is rolling out a big labor reform under the president because like I was talking to Fernando before the show, he's a big fan of the president. It's called Milei, right? Milei. Yeah, so
Yes.
um, about this news, workers can now choose to receive the salary directly into digital wallets. So not just bank accounts. Right now, salaries must go through banks, and this rule has protected banks for decades. But the current president of Argentina, he wants to end that and give workers freedom of choice. It is it's a huge thing in country, and you touch upon the high inflation in Argentina. And according to the number that I got a hands on, like there is a massive crypto wallet usage in Argentina. Because Fernando, I know you just came back from Argentina. What is the overall sentiment going on in the country?
Well, to understand Argentina is very difficult for a Hong Konger understand what happens in Argentina because we are a crazy country. When you study economics, you study four types of countries: wealthy countries, poor countries, Japan, developed countries, underdeveloped countries, Japan and Argentina, because the economists cannot explain how Japan, having nothing, is a superpower, and Argentina, that has everything, is not superpower. So, yeah, Argentina has been dealing for decades. It's not a problem from now of inflation, a lot of inflation. So, probably in the last years, the inflation was over 200% yearly. That's why I was telling you, like 7% in Argentina in 2 years ago was a normal number in a month. So people became financial experts. We say that in Argentina, we are all financial experts and we are all football experts. So if people became financial experts just to take care of their salary, of their salary. So what happened in Argentina in the last until last year, we have capital controls. So we couldn't buy US dollars. There were two different US dollars price, the dollars that the government was putting. For example, the government say you must buy and sell US dollars at 300 Argentinian pesos, but you had the black market where all the people were able to access and was probably 3 or 4 times more. So people to access to dollars, they start using a lot of cryptocurrency. They started to use a lot of USDT, not only for saving for keeping the value of the money, but also for transferring money in and out, because in Argentina it's very difficult to send money out of the country and receive money in the country. So in 2023, on December 10, Javier Milei took the president after years of the governments destroying Argentinian economy, and he understood that Argentina needs to do a very drastic reform. So he went through very drastic reform. He made his presidential campaign with a chainsaw, telling everyone that he was gonna cut all the government spending, and he did. He reduced the inflation from around 300% annually to 30% annually right now. And now he won the middle term elections. So he's going to go hard with a lot of reforms that country needs. So one of the reforms that they need to do to become Argentina more competitive and better is the labor reform. And in this reform, it comes this, that you can opt in to receive your salary either in banks or in wallets. A lot of people, I was surprised in Argentina that they use a lot of like wallets. There is a very famous wallet called Mercado Pago that all of the people use. Then there is other wallets that they combine crypto with money. There is Lemon. There are also credit cards or debit cards that you can pay with the credit card and you get back points, get cashback in Bitcoin or crypto. So I think that for the people is more attractive to receive the salary in these wallets that you can change immediately with no problems to US dollars or USDT or crypto or whatever, and you can pay and get cashback in crypto instead of receiving in the old legacy finance system that, by the way, they have stolen a lot of money from the Argentinians. I'm 44, and in my lifespan, I saw three or four different monetary signs in Argentina, and 3 times the bank stole the money of the clients. In fact, in the December 1st, 2001, there was a rule from the government that said that you cannot retire more than 250 pesos or dollars at that time from the banks, and most of the people went crazy. So most of the people lose all their savings overnight. So I think that this is a good way, it's a good policy, and I hope now the president with the new Congress will push it through and will make Argentina great again as he wants to do.
Yeah, like learning from you, there's like a huge reform going on from a new president in Argentina. Like I assume the traditional banks probably not going to take it too well, right? So I wonder if they like fight back about this new implementation they're trying to do in Argentina about the salaries going directly to the digital wallets, because they must be taking a big hit, right?
Yes, and because he started doing a lot of things against the bank. With the previous government that was I don't want to say communist, but was a liberal socialist government. The bank I don't know too much in deep about that. But what the government used to do is what the business of the bank were like lending money to the government. So there was some like a will that the banks was easy. They just lend money to the government and receive money. So they were doing a very simple business. Now the government stopped printing money, so they stop, and the banks now have to work as banks. They have to lend money to the people. And in the middle, all these wallets that came that also give financial tools to the people, easier loans, easy way to use. And most of these apps are connected with the e-commerce platforms in Argentina. There is a big one called Mercado Libre that is like the Taobao of Argentina and Latin America. So all of these things make things easy for the people. What is doing the government is not taking the banks, taking the business out of the banks. He's giving freedom. So the banks needs to compete. If they want to make the people put their money back in the banks or receive their salaries in the bank, they will be forced to compete with the wallets and make a better product and a better service to the people. So at the end of the day, who is going to take profit of all this? It's going to be the people, because you're going to have better services at lower prices, better promotions, and that's what we want.
Yes, I love that. Like, if this passes, Argentina will become one of the first major economies in the whole world where getting paid in a digital wallet becomes the norm.
Yes, and I think that he's doing a 180% reform, and he aims to Argentina to become the most free economy of the world. Now the first one is Singapore, second one is Hong Kong. Argentina, I think, is in the middle of like around 40, 45. He wants to make the biggest free country in the world, and he's doing that, and he's winning elections. People still voting. Of course, there are a lot of things to do in Argentina, but let me point something. When I went back in Argentina in 2022, there was a crazy. Like, you go to the supermarket one day, and probably the following day, things were up 5%, 10%. From one week to the other was 25%. Last year, when I went back, I was surprised because everything was like stable. I used to go to have a coffee every day in the same coffee shop in the morning, and the price was stable for 2 weeks. And one of the things that I did last year, I usually, when you go travel to Argentina, you have to drop all the Argentinian pesos in the free shop, because if you come back the following year, the money is worthless. Last year, I keep some amount of Argentinian pesos, and when I came back this year, I could use it. So that is something, a show that shows that the policies of Milei's are working, and I hope this reform of the state keep going through. Of course, the left wing are fighting so heavy, the liberals are fighting so heavy against Milei, but I hope it goes through. He keeps reforming the state. He wins the presidential election in 2027, and he can keep doing more reforms in his second terms. I trust him. I like him. He's a crazy guy, and he's what Argentina needs to be a better country, to be what used to be 100 years ago. Because 100 years ago, Argentina was one of the richest countries of the world, and what the left did was destroying the country. So if you are planning in any country to vote a populist, a left-wing politician, just study Argentinian story and study what they do to us and what did Milei in 2 years. That is amazing. And you probably will think 2 times after voting a liberal or a left-wing politician.
I love that. That sounds a lot of progress being made from Argentina in a matter of like just 3 years, like compared to last time you went back. All right, so what I'm going to do, I wanted to dive into another topic, being the Bitcoin Treasury company. Like, the first one we have in mind is, of course, MicroStrategy. They are being risk of getting kicked out from the whole index, so MSCI index. But what we're going to do is take a little break, and after that, I'll see you guys in 3 minutes and dive into the analysis of MicroStrategy.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. As I promised, we're now going to get into MSTL because that seems to be so much FUD, so much negativity on crypto Twitter about MSTL. And if you look at the MSTL price, and it has been a low, in a very long time. So anyways, what's happening right now? Let's get into the article. MicroStrategy might get kicked out of the MSCI, one of the major equity index out there. The reason why we are talking about removing MicroStrategy, because apparently MSCI thinks MSTL is no longer a normal operating company. They now classify MSTL as a digital asset treasury, so DAT company. A DAT is, of course, like when a company, the holding, 50% or more of its balance sheet is in digital assets. So they are being treated more like a Bitcoin fund, no longer a software company anymore. So MSTL, of course, among all the Bitcoin treasury out there, they are sitting at number one. They hold like 650,000 BTC, something like that. So this matters. Like if they get kicked out, that means like all the passive buying from the index will be gone. So my question to you, Fernando, what's your take on this? Like, do you think MSTL deserve to be get kicked out of this index in the first place?
No way. No way, because MSTR is, if you see the chart, if you see the returns, of course, this year is crap, but if you see the last 4 years, the returns are amazing. What Saylor is doing is incredible. Is one of the most transparent companies in the world, where you can go to their website and they show you what the debt, how much Bitcoin they hold, the price, the bonds. When they do I streamed the last two earnings call, and they are so transparent. The CEO, the CFO, Michael Saylor, he invites top streamers to ask questions. So they are super transparent, and they don't deserve to be kicked out. In fact, they qualify to be in the S&P 500. So, and they are not accepted yet, because all of this crap that they say, you are not a company, you are not a software business, you are a digital asset treasury, or whatever they want to call. But on the other side, you have the company of Warren Buffett. What is this company? Well, they don't sell anything, they don't produce anything, they just invest. These things is another reaction of um, it reminds me when Bitcoin was attacked in the past, even by Saylor. Saylor used to say that Bitcoin was a scam. BlackRock said that it was a scam, the rat poison or whatever. And now everyone is adopting Bitcoin. I think that these movements are the correct movements when you are doing the things right, and you are the new kid on the block doing the thing right, better than the legacy finance. This happens, it reminds me when the other day I was in Argentina and they were asking me about my show and all the stuff, and someone asked me, do you have any haters? And I say, unfortunately, I don't have haters, because if I don't have haters, it means that I'm not big enough. So this shows this attack to Saylor with the FUD, with Twitter, with MSCI, with the banks attacking them, JP Morgan, all the stuff, shows that he is threatening their business. He wants to become a Bitcoin bank and suck all of the money that the banks manage in these funds, in all this stuff. So of course they feel threatened and they will want to attack him. I think it's not good, because they lose their passive income. But Saylor is a chess player, so he thinks 3 or 4 movements ahead of their enemies. So their haters. I don't like to call enemies, the haters. So if they attack him with this thing, because what happened this week, that Saylor, everyone was telling, oh, Saylor is gonna sell Bitcoin, because now I don't know what's gonna, they have to pay the dividends or whatever, and he say, okay, you are telling me that I'm gonna sell Bitcoin. They just bought more Bitcoin. They complete 650,000 Bitcoin in their balance sheet. Plus, they say, okay, we have a fund of 1.44 billion US dollar that covers the dividends of this year and next year. So he's a chess player. He's a super smart person. He studies a lot. He's an engineer. That gives him advantage against all the finance guys of Wall Street. So, of course, probably in the short terms can be affected the price of the stock, but I with strategy, I think the same as Bitcoin, and I hold strategy as well. In the long term, strategies will win. So probably we can see in the short term more shakeout in the price that, of course, is not good, especially for people who enter when strategy was 400, 300, 450, and now they see the stock around 180, and it's super frustrating. But this, again, is a long term. It's not a short term. Of course, will be attacked. When you are doing things correctly, you are attacked by your haters, and but again, haters are the best, also the best advertisement for you. Again, if this happen, can be can have problems in the stock price, not in the company, because the company is over collateralized, so it's not the problem of the company. But in the long term, I think strategy will win.
Yes, speaking of the stock price, if we quickly hop onto MSTL, how much it is worth right now, like if we look at the past year performance, it has been down 51%. So it's quite severe right now. For the moment being, it's sitting at $186. So if we quickly hop onto the poly market, because like poly market is usually spot on when it comes to prediction like this, there is now a 71% chance of MSTL getting kicked out of MSCI. And in the short term, like you said, it's going to be huge volatility, because like getting kicked out of this index, meaning there will be multi-billion dollars of passive selling. Like for people who invested on MSCI, they will just like automatically sell MicroStrategy. So like my question, like right now it has dropped so much already. Like, do you think in the long term, even at this price, is a good buy for MSTL?
You mean the price in the long term, in the long run?
Yes, for
Of course,
MSTL.
no financial advice, but I do believe that MicroStrategy will recover the price, that will recover the all-time high and gonna go even higher, because again, there is no most of the fund they say strategy will be liquidated at X price if Bitcoin drops. If you study the balance sheet, and I on and I see, you need to see their website. They are super transparent. You see that they are over collateralized. Their debt is around 8 billion US dollars, and their Bitcoin is around 60K. And now, like I know, I don't the price is around 60 billion or something. So they are over collateralized. And again, in the long run, I think strategy will become the biggest company in the world, because they will be the biggest Bitcoin bank in the world. And that's what you need to think when you do investment. You need to look the long term. Of course, in the short term, if you do day trading and you want to buy low and sell high, probably now is a good time, no financial advice, to buy low, and or when, or if they are kicked out, you can buy low and sell higher. But I think that in the long term, with strategy, it's going to happen the same that's happened with Bitcoin. Strategy will become a Bitcoin bank, will take over all the business. It's the same that we were discussing in Argentina. Now the banks, the big banks, they are hunting in the zoo. So they will force the big banks to compete, and it's going to be better for people, for strategy price, and for Bitcoin. So I cannot tell what is going to happen in the next 6 months, but I do believe, and I I have some. We run some simulations with the MNAV, with Monte Carlo simulations, and I think that the price needs to be higher. Cannot be low, trading at MNAP minor to 1. So again, no financial advice, but I think now is the times where the wealth is made, and not when it's on the top.
Yes, I kind of want to push deeper onto that matter, and I'm not trying to be a ultra bear here, but like if MSTL do get kicked out of the index, so being the MSCI index, what this also means is that very likely MicroStrategy won't be able to get into the S&P 500 anytime soon. So like despite knowing this, do you think still like MSTL right now is a good buy?
I try to look at the big picture, and I like what Saylor is doing. Saylor is a guy who has a plan, and he's stick to the plan. And his goal, sorry, is accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. And of course, if it happened, probably there is no inflow to buy more Bitcoin or something like that. But he will find a way to overcome that. And at the end of the day, they will beg to have MSTR on their index again. Probably not next year, probably not in 2027, probably not in 2028, but sooner or later, he will win and they will beg, please, MicroStrategy, come back to our index because we need you. Remember what happened last year, I think, with Vanguard, when they didn't want their clients to invest in Bitcoin ETF. What do the clients do? They left and they went to buy ETF in another place. So, and now Vanguard is trying to come to the Bitcoin game again. So I think that Saylor needs to keep doing what he's doing. He needs to keep accumulating Bitcoin, increasing Bitcoin per share, and sooner or later, all of these will pay off. Of course, it's not like a road of roses or something easy. He will be attacked. There will be times where the ship is gonna move a little bit. But again, at the end of the day, if you look at the long term, what he's doing, he's super transparent. I think strategy will win. Again, no financial advice.
Yes, I love that a lot. Like one thing very interesting and it's so funny to watch how the narrative flips so quickly because for the past few months, like for the past 3 months, like all of a sudden, everyone is so bearish on Bitcoin treasury companies, saying it's going to be basically it's going to be a bubble and a reason why would crash the entire Bitcoin market. Well, I'm not speaking for like all the behalf of all the like DAT out there because like there is quite a lot of BS. But like for MicroStrategy, like I I noticed there's so much fun, Fernando. Like first of all, as you mentioned about the MNAV, like whenever it trade below 1x the MNAV, and then there's some rumors out there and there's like some misunderstanding. Like if whenever it goes below 1 MNAV, like MicroStrategy will suffer, but in reality, it's just like the sentiment issue for Bitcoin. So it's not like the core issue for MicroStrategy. And there's another massive but that I'm seeing is that MSTR will likely sell BTC. But if you actually dive into the reserve they have, like they have more than $1 billion to play around. So like that is another thought I've been seeing the crypto Twitter flowing around and just like find it really ridiculous, and I want to address that in today's show. But like I would say, what happened with MSCI trying to kick out MSTL? Would you say it's more like the narrative between Bitcoin ETFs versus Bitcoin treasury model? Do you think like these two models get along with each other, or there's like only one gonna exist?
Yes, well, we were discussing this before the show. I was telling like probably ETFs and treasuries might go together against a bigger enemy that are the central banks, are the legacy finance. But yes, the point is that they are pointing to the same amount of they need to catch money from the same side. So probably, and the ETFs are more linked to the legacy finance. They don't want to change the finance. They just want to make money with Bitcoin. Saylor is different because he wants to use Bitcoin to change the whole financial system, to make the financial system better, better for everyone, even more fair for everyone, and destroy this problem of the inflation and the central banks. So probably the ETFs are a proxy, a Bitcoin proxy from the banks and the big Wall Street legacy finance that is attacking MicroStrategy because in the long term, they see that they can take that strategy can take their business. So said that, it come back to what I was saying about the haters. If someone has so hate on you, is because you are you're threatening them. So if you are not threatening them, if you are not growing, they will say, okay, just go. Same what happened with Bitcoin at the beginning. Nobody take care of that until it start going up, 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 and they start, okay, this is for drug dealers. This has all the bullshit that they talk about Bitcoin, by the way. I think that this might be a war between the ETFs and Saylor because on the treasury companies. And let me talk about the treasury companies because one thing is Saylor strategy, other legit companies that are out there, and was another thing where the hype of the treasury companies. Now, all the companies want to be a treasury company, and this can trigger. I think that this triggered the fall of the companies now because the drop on the price because most of them they were doing so bold claims that they will accumulate 1 million Bitcoin or something like that. And of course, this is impossible. And people bought the hype and then went down. And that's the point. But Saylor never does bold claims. He says that he will buy Bitcoin. He will not sell Bitcoin. And he will raise as much money as possible to buy more Bitcoin. And that's what he's doing. He's not promising that he will be buying 2 million Bitcoin or whatever. And that's why Saylor, I think that Saylor is super legit, and I'm with him on this battle. So I'm part of his army. So against the legacy finance system.
Yes, I like that a lot. Like, I'm also part of the MSTL army, and well, if you ask my personal take, I think short-term wise, of course, like seeing news like this getting kicked out of the index is not a particularly over the moon kind of news, but like short-term, maybe there will be more inflow for ETFs. Like long-term, if Bitcoin it does reach 500,000 in long-term or $1 million, like it's going to be all right for MSTL because like right now in 2025, they already hold 650,000 BTC on the balance sheet. So what it looks like to me, MSTL is more like a higher risk, higher reward play at the moment. ETF, of course, is going to be more steady, going to have adoption from institutions. So let's move on to the next topic I want to talk about today. So one thing that caught my attention is Facebook, so Meta. All of a sudden, like if we take a look at the stock price for the past 5 days, looking at this chart, there's a huge jump from 640 and then 664, so a 4% jump. The reason why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Meta, so Facebook, have a huge jump is because apparently Mark Zuckerberg, they are announcing finally they're gonna have a major cut up to 30% of that cut on the home metaverse narrative, so the metaverse division for 2026. And yes, that means after pouring more than 60 or 70 billion dollars into the home metaverse narrative and losing money year after year, Meta, so Facebook, is finally scaling back. So, question, Fernando, like, were you a big fan about like all these like VR headset and home metaverse? Like, what's your take on metaverse?
Oh, when I saw the metaverse, I see it's a stupid thing. So like I didn't understand of course, Zuckerberg is smarter than me. He's a billionaire and I'm not. So if he invests so much money on the metaverse and he did all this presentation of him in the metaverse, I think that was something that was because the vision during the pandemic, I think that they were envisioning a world with more people inside their house and living in this metaverse stuff. Here in Hong Kong, we had a lot of companies like Animoca, Sandbox. In fact, in Cyberport, they have a lot. And there was all this hype on the metaverse. I never bought this hype because I said, I don't see any usage of that. And I was not always in the hype. And then came AI. Nobody saw it coming. And that's why I think that it's a smart move from Meta. In fact, even they change even the bet. Check the bet that they do in the metaverse. They changed their name to Meta. The name of the company was Meta because of the metaverse. I think that they they saw at that time that the metaverse was going to be the future, and they didn't see AI coming. And now I think that is a very smart move to cut the losses on that area and to put and invest on AI, because we all know that AI is the future and is everywhere. In fact, I always talk with Grok, and I'm talk more with Grok than with the people now, because I use the X AI platform. And I think that is good. I never saw the usage of the metaverse, probably because I'm old school and I don't like the doing virtually things. I like this. For me, I enjoy more this than meeting you on a live stream with a computer. It's better to in person. But probably they envision that the world that was going to be like that. They lose a lot of money, and it's a good way that you say, okay, you made a mistake and now you cut the money there because it's investors' money, and you switch to AI. I think that is a good move. It's a part of Zuckerberg's reconversion because he went from this nerd style, now he's into MMA, martial arts, and I think that it's good for him and it's good for the company.
I'm sure it's good for him, and especially when it comes to a decision like this, like it's being fully reflected on the price section. Like investors, not only us, but like I'm not an investor of Meta, but like most of the investors, they have a lot of horrible sentiment around metaverse, and especially when it comes to the product of the metaverse being so horrible and it being so disappointing. Like the whole visual is like it looks like some being, I don't know, drone from a 10-year-old or something. So despite putting billions of dollars and the output from Facebook, from Meta, and the whole metaverse narrative, it was nowhere close to what we were initially promised. So the graphic, it was horrible. So when it comes to the feed outset, it was so heavy, and a lot of people reported that they got motion sick after maybe half an hour of using the feed out. And worst of all, like even if you enter the so-called metaverse they have built, like it was empty room and no one was inside. Like the graphic was so bad, like worse than the Wii game when it first came out. And when you enter, like there was no one there. So it was like, it was so bad. And I would say the whole hype of metaverse die. It does have a reason when you look at graphics like
No,
this.
and I'm happy that all this hype died because I think that they made like a read during the pandemic that at the beginning people were enjoying being at home, and they envision a world where all of us we were gonna be at home and we would rather do things in the metaverse than in person. But I think that we were so pressured during the pandemic, like with all these draconian rules, that after that I think that people say, okay, I'm not going to want the metaverse. Now that I can do the things outside, I'd rather do real things instead of metaverse. And I think that it comes to the human nature. even though that we live now in a super AI world and technological world, I think that we, the humans, have this feeling or this inner drive to meet each other, to not be in the metaverse, or it's rather to go. Nothing is gonna compare. Nothing is gonna be better than meeting a friend, having a coffee, having a meal, and again, I want to connect this with Bitcoin because you can push humans to do whatever you think that is going to happen. But at the end of the day, no matter the human, the technological advance, we have this human sentiment. We are live creatures, and we are going to try to do things like in this way. And Bitcoin, you can attack, you can do whatever you want, you can push to Bitcoin to do whatever, but at the end of the day, it's gonna go up or it's gonna win because it's a living creature. It's another kind of asset, and that's the connection that I do. I think that the metaverse failed because they over I don't overestimate, or I don't know how to say in English, but they they didn't they didn't put the human factor in the middle. That of course now people stay at home, but we still need to socialize. Still need to go out. And with Bitcoin it's the same. They can do FUD, they can ban, they can like capture, but at the end of the day, the nature of Bitcoin is to go up and to become the biggest asset and save humanity. Sorry, but I'm super maximalist, but it is what it is.
I love that a lot. So looks like the whole idea of the movie Ready Player One might not come true anytime soon. Wait, it looks like it might not come true in at least 5 or 10 years, but like after that, who knows? So Fernando, it has been a great pleasure to have you. So if our viewers want to know more of your personal takes, your perspectives, where's the best way to reach out to you?
Oh, they can follow us on X, the Bitcoin double underscore. Our YouTube channel in English is Libertarian BTC. We also have a YouTube. We are building an X account in Spanish, the Bitcoin ESP double underscore, and our YouTube channel in Spanish is Libertarian BTC ESP. We stream every day. Now I'm gonna stream. I have 2 streams now in Spanish and in the night, and later I will be with Hank in his show, the Blockchain Report. And I'm not gonna go live because I cannot fly to US now, but it is what it is.
Awesome. So, guys, you had the man. So, Fernando coming from a Bitcoin libertarian. So, do give him a follow. Of course, do give us a follow on RoxomTV because we are really active on Twitter and we're constantly updating the viewers about not only Bitcoin but global news on geopolitics. So, there's a lot of valuable content you wouldn't want to miss out. So, thank you so much, Fernando, and I'll see you guys next time.